Y'all, listen. First, can y'all hear me? Dubs in the chat if y'all can hear me. Then we're gonna have a story time. Let me bring the volume up a little bit. Chat, can you hear me? Chat. Dub, beautiful. Okay. So, Joshua, Raging. Y'all know I was sweating hard tonight. Y'all know I was sweating hard tonight, right? Yep, the Cutline is back. I'll talk about that in a second, too. But before we just get into all the meat and potatoes, guys, welcome to the Cutline. We're back. Took a 2-week hiatus. I was in Anderson, South Carolina for the Cars Tour race. Got to meet and interview Dale Earnhardt Jr. Really nice guy, by the way. Got for the Cars Tour race. That was awesome. Yes, I was sweating hard, bro. If I sound exhausted, I'll get into that in a second. And then last week, I was at Daytona for the Cup race and the Xfinity race. I thought about going live like I did for Homestead. However, that would have been a disaster because A, trying to go live with 100,000 people in attendance and, you know, Wi-Fi, that would have been awful. So, number one. And number two, let's just say that my voice was dead after the Daytona race. So, I'm happy I didn't go live, let's say that, just first because the quality would have been awful. Let's just say that. The quality would have been awful. So, took a 2-week break, but finally here for the Southern 500. And let me explain why I was sweating so hard. Because Raging knows as well. So, I have a fantasy league with a couple friends of mine. Basically, we tally up how many picks we get correct. And at the end of the year, we get, the winner gets a diecast with a $250 limit. I have a 3-point lead. And during the playoffs, we reset our picks because you can only pick a driver once. So we reset the picks. I picked Briscoe for this race because my mentality was, well, I don't really know any other track Briscoe would just dominate like Darlington. So I'm like, you know, I'll go Darlington. I originally went with Byron, and I'm happy I switched from Byron, and I picked Briscoe. And yeah, when Reddick cut that down to like 2/10, I was sweating hard. I was trying to say, no, you're jinx. There was the Discord chat that was saying we hope Reddick win. I'm like, shut up. So my 3-point lead is now a 4-point lead. I got 7 points. The closest contender has 3 points. So it was at 3, it was 4. And one other guy in the league, he picked Reddick. So we also kind of want that guy to finish last. And now because someone else picked Reddick, he is now in last. So but that's the overall story why I was sweating so hard with Briscoe. I haven't sweated that hard since probably Larson won the championship or Larson earlier this year at Homestead. But yes, that is the story of why Armani was sweating so hard over a Southern 500. Because fantasy reasons. I won a $250 diecast. I'm trying to get that. If Elite's in the chat here, and if Elite's not in here, Raging, go get Elite. Because tell him I'm trying to win a Truex Championship diecast. Alright, let's see what we got in the chat here real quick before we get to the meat and potatoes here. Yep, Cutline is back from 2055 CB. Yep, we are back, and we'll be back for the rest of the year. Originally, we were going to have a guest tonight. We were going to have Movement YT _ from Twitter, if you've seen him. However, he had some personal things at the last moment, so unfortunately he hasn't been able to join on, and, you know, I won't delve into that because that's personal business with him, but, you know, just sending prayers out to him, hope, and his family, hope everything is okay, and we will try to get him on later, you know, during these playoffs. So, no guests this week, unfortunately, however, we will have a guest next week for Gateway. Imagine if this was the season finale and the top 3 were battling it out for the championship. It'd be nice if this was the finale, if Dirty Air wasn't such a big issue, which I'm not going to lie. That's mostly the reason why Briscoe won this race, because Reddick was clearly faster, and Eric Jones was clearly faster, but Dirty Air. BFB, I just want to say that after Truex Jr. be retired, I have been a fan of Blaney and Chase Briscoe. This NASCAR year, I'm assuming you're saying, it's turning out great from an old school fan. Yeah, I mean, got 2 wins each from your guys, so pretty cool. Nicholas, what a fantastic, awesome drive by Chase Briscoe and Tyler Reddick. Man, he was so close, but hey, he'll get him next week, and that was a fun race. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I mean, again, I'll get into that. Actually, no, I'll just talk about the race overall, because instead of talking about the Southern 500, I want to go over each playoff driver when we get into that segment. But yeah, the Southern 500, you know, if I take away my biases aside, I mean, the problem is it was close, but nothing really happened. And part of that is due to the fact that Darlington is just a tricky track to pass in general. But it's also due to the fact that this car and dirty air, it goes together like you know, bread and butter. So again, Reddick was faster, Briscoe was faster, excuse me, now Eric Jones was faster. You can see I'm still rewiring my brain from that heart attack that I had during those last 20-30 laps. Elite, yes! Let's go, Elite! I'm not a Briscoe fan, but I was tonight. I was tonight. But yeah, I mean, yeah, everything was close, but again, it's like, you know, you couldn't really pass. I mean, let's be honest here. Unless Briscoe made a mistake, Reddick wasn't going to get by him. Unless Reddick and Briscoe made a mistake, Jones wasn't going to get by him. Because the dirty air is just that bad. We've had a lot of close Southern 500 finishes, but they don't feel like they have a lot of substance because the dirty air is so bad. Like, Briscoe eviscerated the field. Let's not deny that. But did he really have the best car? I think he had the best short run car from about, you know, but after, what, 20, 30 laps, the car went away. And you saw that every time. Reddick kept inching closer and closer and closer. But once we got into that dirty air bubble, he really couldn't do anything. I mean, Reddick's best chances, guys, let's be honest here, was during lap traffic and when Briscoe got loose and got into the wall a little bit in turns 3 and 4. Other than that, that 45 car was not going to get by the 19. He needed something else to happen. And that is the problem with the next gen. I'm not going to get into the dirty air. I'm not going to get into the next gen's problems because I've done that throughout the entirety of the year. And at that point, I'd just be repeating myself. But it's just frustrating because it's like, it was good, but why? But it's like, we know why it wasn't good for the right reason. It's like fast food. It was a fast food finish. It was entertaining, but is it really that good for you? Let's be honest here. That is the best way. Guys, I need to ask the Daily Downforce. You know, put it in the chat also. I want to make that a shirt. Actually, yeah, we won't make that a shirt. These next gen is fast food racing. It's entertaining, but is it really good for you? Ooh, that could be a fire shirt. Let me know in the comments below. Would that be a fire shirt? Let me know, guys. The opening of Toy Story 5 is a lot of Buzz Lightyear toys is on an island. I did hear about Toy Story 5 is coming out, but then again, they should have just stopped at Toy Story 3. Let's be honest here. Smarty Pants looks like a toilet paper toy in Toy Story 5. He's played by Conan O'Brien. Really? That should be interesting. Elite, I can actually breathe now. Man, I got MTJ flashbacks. I agree. Elite, I'd buy one, but I'm spending all my money on Briscoe merch. That's fair. That's fair. What a run from Nemechek. Indeed, it was. Yeah, great run from Nemechek and Legacy Motor Club as a whole. But, yeah, I mean, again, it's like, it's hard to really say, was that good? But you know that just, man, you know why. It's like, it's frustrating. The next gen is a frustrating car. And I'm not an engineer. I'm not one of those people who got to say, oh, you just get rid of the diffuser. Or get rid of the side panels. It's like, if it was really that simple, why wouldn't NASCAR have done it already? Especially if it's just, they've already tried getting rid of the diffuser, and a lot of times it just doesn't work. So, I don't know what needs to be done with the next gen car to make it better. Again, I think the bigger problem with the car is that it's equal. Like, when you have the same speed, there's going to be no variation. Like, okay, everyone is close. Well, yeah, because everyone's running 45 miles. Like, let's say this. If you're on the highway and everyone's running 70, yeah, everyone is close, but they're all the same. So, of course, no one's making moves. It's the same thing here with the next-gen car. I think the spec car is a bigger problem than any aero issue with the car. More than the diffuser or how the car is symmetrical, you name it. I think that is a bigger problem with this car than the aero because everyone is the same. same SMT data, same car, same chassis, like same horsepower. There's not enough variation to where a guy can just straight up drive someone through. The only variation we see is at road courses because SVG is just that much better than everyone else. That is the only time you really see variation in the sport nowadays. So I know the Gen 6 was anything but spec and we had a lot of dirty air issues, but I feel like that was more, you could tell there were a little more dirty air issues with that car. Because here's the thing that I've noticed about race cars. The more complicated you make a car design, the worse the dirty air is going to be. Like, I'll show you an example here. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go collect a Gen 4, a COT, a Gen 6, and the next gen to show you exactly what I mean. Because literally, I got them right here. And yes, I'm picking the Larson title win. Okay, we are back. So I have 5 die casts in my hand because I want to visually show you guys exactly what I mean. We're going a little off the rails, admittedly, but I really want to do this to, illustrate my point. So, move all these over here, and I'm not looking forward to putting these back. So, here's a Gen 4 car. If you notice here, the car isn't really overly complicated in its design. It's pretty simple arrow-wise. You slope down in the middle, and then it just rises up at the end, and the same thing applies for the rear of the car. But you see overall, yeah, there's a little bit of asymmetrical design, but other than that, there's not really, it's not complicated. It's not a complicated design. So it allows the air to go through, go around, go underneath, all that easier than a complicated design. The first time we really started getting to complicated designs, even though it looks exactly like a brick, is the COT. And you're going to see a lot of Dale Jr. cars here because I used to be a Dale Jr. fan. That's the #1 reason I went to Anderson. So you see here, a lot more complicated than the Gen 4. It was spec, it was a spec body, but you could see the front here with the splitter. A lot more complicated. You have more parts here with like the splitter and these parts. You have the wing. Way more complicated than a normal spoiler. That's why when we had the wing era of the COT, like from 2008 all the way till, halfway through 2010, the racing sucked. And I'm just going to move the headphones here because there's really nothing to listen to for the rest of this show, but just talk. So it's more complicated. So you start to get a little more complicated parts and pieces in the car, the dirty air gets worse. That's why, again, when they switched to, bringing the splitter with the car and not just attaching it with, whatever that is, and you got rid of the wing and you put a spoiler, the racing improved. That's why 2010, 2011, 2012, the racing was pretty solid. Then you go to the Gen 6 car, and I'll use my all-time favorite paint scheme, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Batman v Superman car. And if you wonder why this is my all-time favorite paint scheme, it's because I'm a massive Batman fan. I mean, just know I'm a massive Batman fan. Like, just know that. If I explain how big of a Batman fan I am, I literally have a Batman wallet. I have a whole line of Batman Funkos. I know I'm going off track here, but just give me some time here. But you see here, it starts getting more complicated, like with the sides here, even with the Gen 6, with this car. It's a little more complicated. It's a little more round. It starts to get more complicated, especially back here with these side panels in the back. A lot more complicated. So because of that, dirty air became a bigger issue, especially when this spoiler pretty much got cut in half, which people don't really like to talk about in terms of that. And I promised a Larson diecast, so here we are. This is the next gen car. It looks simple, but this is arguably one of the most complicated cars in terms of design in NASCAR history, because if you see here, the diffuser, first of all, even just pulling up a Gen 6 car, I mean, just look at the bottom. Way different. The underbody, the air can't really get underneath the car. The diffuser, way more complicated. Even back here, look, you have this little indent where you don't have that with the other cars. Where am I getting that with all this, guys? And this is Larson's Homestead win. I was there for that. I was there for both his Homestead wins. Do you have a Batman? You raging? Now I gotta pull out the Batman wallet. Hold on. You think I'm joking? You think I'm joking? So, I'm going off tangent, but we're having some fun at this point. Is this close enough? I got this the other day. That's my Batman wallet. Yes, engraved, made of real wood. Money well spent. And then these are my keychains. It is literally a Batman cape. And my car, which is a silver and gray 2013 Chevy Camaro, is all decked out in Batman gear. But I'm getting off the sidetrack. What is the point of all this? Why am I talking about Batman? I'm supposed to be talking about cars. So again, we go from this, a rather simple body design, to this, very complicated. And you see that in Formula 1 too. Look at the old F1 cars. Very simple compared to what we have now, which is very complicated. And again, the more complicated you make a car design, the worse the dirty air is going to be. But that's not the team's fault. The teams just work what they got. The team's job is to go faster. It's up to the sanctioning body to mitigate that. So when you have these problems, and on top of the fact that this is basically a spec car, which is the worst thing in top-level motorsports, that's where you have the problem. So there is your engineering lesson of the day, even though I'm not an engineer. So take all of this with a grain of salt. JGR for life. Tough night for Hendrick, indeed. Raging Knuckles, do you have a Batman credit card? I knew what you were talking about. Batman and Robin. I have a Batman and Robin Funko. I'm looking at it right now, but I'm not going to get that. I got too many things on my desk already. But yes, I know what you were talking about. All right, that's kind of my Southern 500 again. We'll see where it goes on the race weekend rankings, because this is going to be an interesting ranking, to say the least. But I want to start off. Let's see if NASCAR has finally pulled up all the finishes. And I believe they did. All right, so how about now? We good? I forgot I had to add a new source. Or I had to add a new scene to this. We good? Yes? No? Well, we're going to roll like it's... Okay, good. Perfect. Yeah, I just had to add a new scene to the mic here. All right, so I'll just briefly mention it. Briscoe, you see the laps led 309 out of 367, but after the alternator issue, I really didn't feel like he had the fastest car. Because again, he would move out he would go out and have this 1.5, 1.7, 2-second lead. But after 15, 20, 25 laps, Reddick or whoever was in second at the time would really reel him in. And I'm not talking about a few 100ths or even a tenth. I'm talking 2, 3, some laps even 4/10 of a second. It's like that 19, they would go up and then just shoot back down. Now again, he's lucky because dirty air exists. But if that didn't happen, if we actually were at a track where dirty air wasn't terrible with this car, like a Kansas or a Vegas, the 45 was easily going to win this race, and the 19 would probably finish third or fourth. Tyler Reddick. This has to be probably two of the most stressful weeks for Tyler Reddick, because Daytona spins out, hits the wall. Lucky didn't get a lot of damage, finished, I believe, 11th. Makes the playoffs off a guarantee because Alex Bowman wrecked out. Then here, on lap 1, trying to avoid Josh Berry, or Josh Berry got into him. I don't exactly remember which one it was, but either way, hit the wall, doesn't have damage, but has to work his way from the back to the front. It looked like that 45 got faster after he got the damage, which that's interesting. But again, kind of missed opportunity for Tyler Reddick. And the same thing happened the last time here at Darlington. After Byron had his issues, it would look like he was going to come down between Reddick and Blaney. And then Blaney got by Reddick, and then, of course, caution, strategy, Hamlin ends up winning the race. But that's kind of been the story of the 45 for pretty much all year. Have the speed, but can't execute. Whether it's his fault or forces outside of his control. In this case, it's kind of forces outside of his control, because he can't control the fact that Josh Berry just decided just to clip him and then put him in the wall, and he can't control the fact that this car sucks with dirty air at Darlington. Do I think he'll win? Today was encouraging. It's a good stepping stone, especially because there's some decent tracks for him, like Vegas, Kansas. Of course, we know how good 2311 is, even though Reddick was really nowhere in the spring. So I think he's going to have a shot. And this race is encouraging. It's a good stepping stone, and we'll see if the 45 can build some momentum, which, if you guys saw my no cautions given playoff predictions, you know that the 45 really doesn't have a lot of momentum right now. Then we got to go all the way from 2nd down to 6th for Bubba Wallace. And I think this was a great race for Bubba Wallace. Led a few laps, led 10, but was running top 5, top 10 all day long. Even after the pit road mishap where he and Zane Smith almost got together, the 23 didn't panic. Because we've seen in the past, that 23, when the pressure is on or things don't go their way, they tend to crumble. But ever since that Brickyard win, it really feels like, well, besides Richmond, but ever since that Brickyard win, it feels like that 23 is kind of just calmed down. And that's really all we've needed out of Bubba. Just calm down. Stop feeling like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. And that Brickyard win, I feel like, did that. So, because of that, I think the 23, similar to the 45, though I think the 23 has more momentum than the 45. I predicted, a little bit of a spoiler, I predicted Bubba to go to the round of 8, and this is an encouraging sign. What's another encouraging sign here is Denny Hamlin. I thought Hamlin was done. I thought after his issues, he was outside the top 25. I thought, yeah, he's done. This race is a wash, and then he's just going to look in the gateway. I did not expect that 11 car to keep up with the track, and let alone finish top 10. So, massive props to Denny Hamlin. Again, ran into problems in stage 1. He was battling for the lead with Briscoe, but then I think it was the second or third restart of the race. Got into Briscoe a little bit. Both of them spun the tires, and then that ended up giving damage to Hamlin, and because of that, he plummeted down the order. It was like 25th or 28th, and I thought that was done. But then that 11 car worked his way through the field. That is the veteran experience that again, going back to that video, which, by the way, after the stream, go watch that video, please, because that took forever to edit. But that 11 car, it's consistency and experience. He's the oldest driver in the field, and it's days like this where you see that. He didn't panic. He didn't just completely shut down like a Carson Hocevar who finished 9th, but we're not going to talk about him because he's not a playoff guy. He worked his way through the field slowly, methodically, came on with the top 10. So I have Denny Hamlin making the Final 4. Again, this is a good indication that when everything's going against him, he can rise to the occasion in a way. Ross Chastain. He was good, very, very good at the beginning, running top 5 in the day and even a little bit towards the night. Maybe not top 5 speed, but top 10 speed, and finished around there, finished 11th. Would you like to see a little more out of the one, considering he's been pretty good here? Yeah, a little bit. Something that I've noticed with Chastain recently is that he's good at Darlington in the day. because I rarely see him here in the night. I rarely see the one car as a factor in the night. But when we come here in the day, he is out there. Whether it's in the spring Darlington race or whether it's in the first half of the Southern 500, Chastain knows how to run this track in the day. I don't know about the night. They need to figure out how to keep up with the track, and if they could do that, maybe that one car will finally win a Southern 500, which Chastain mentioned in an interview, I believe, before the race, that he wants to win this race more than anything, more than the Daytona 500. Austin Cindric, he was okay. He qualified top 10, got stage points early on. I believe he got 3 stage points at stage 1. Then as the track continued to go more into night, kind of just fell back to the means, was running inside, anywhere from 12th to 20th, finished 12th. Not a bad day for Austin Cindric, all things considered, and someone who's above the cut line and with a lot of playoff guys running into issues, all you can really ask for is a solid night, and Cindric had a solid night, so not much more to talk about with the 2-car. Next playoff driver on the list, Chase Elliott, 17th. That feels generous, considering where they ran for most of the night, which was really outside the top 20. That 9-car was, I expected more out of him. Chase is usually good at Darlington, and the fact that he was running pretty bad all day long really concerned me. Qualified out 21st, finished 17th, only made up 4 spots, not great. Was never really a factor. Yeah, it says here he led 8 laps, but that was due more than anything to strategy. And again, kind of like Cindric, I think Chase is lucky because he was lucky from the fact that a lot of guys ran into problems. So, if you didn't have these guys run into problems, the 9-car would be more of a disadvantaged situation, which when we look into the playoff grid, we'll see where he's at. Ryan Blaney. Man, I wish that 12-car kept up with the track. Did they run into an issue? Someone let me know in the comments if he ran into an issue, because that 12-car, he was running up front. I thought he was in the top 10, top 5. I'm thinking he's going to be a factor, and then just out of nowhere, he just plummeted like a rock. He was nowhere. So, I don't know what happened with Blaney. Again, just not much. A lot of playoff guys ran into issues, and Blaney, again, was one of them. And he was, again, someone I thought was going to be in contention to win, given how he performed in the spring, but 18th. Need to see more. Kyle Larson finished 19th, started top 5, was running top 5, but just couldn't keep up with the track. I mean, yeah, there's really nothing more to say about Larson. Just couldn't keep up with the track. He was falling like a rock. I think he also tried some strategy that didn't work out for him. So I would like to see more out of the 5. But again, the fact that he was running top 5 consistently was encouraging. Didn't get the finish he deserved. Probably should have finished around the top 10. He was running top 10 for most of that, but then got loose into the wall around the time he was battling with Ryan Preece. So, again, a lot of strategy. You can even see guys here like Zane Smith, Noah Gragson, a decent day for Front Row Motorsports. But Larson, top 5 speed is encouraging. I'd like to see a little more. I want to see that race-winning speed again. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Larson fan. Joey Logano. Spoiler alert for my video. I'm going to keep going back and forth, mentioning it. I have Logano eliminated this round. I think that Logano is very feast or famine when it comes to the playoffs. He's either a championship contender in the playoffs or he is absolutely nowhere. Darlington is a good track for him. Well, it's a good track for a lot of these guys. It's a driver's track. But he was nowhere. He was running top 10 for the first 50 laps of the race. But other than that, he was a nowhere, no-show. So it's this problem that I have with Logano. Is can he really keep up with the rest of the field? Gateway is my only hope for Joey Logano in these playoffs. If Joey doesn't finish top 5 or top 10 at Gateway, I think he's done. Because I don't see him doing anything at Bristol. And this is a guy who got eliminated in the round of 16 just 2 years ago. As the defending champ, might I add. So, Logano was literally feast or famine. And I think this year it's famine. William Byron, again, it's kind of like with Chase Elliott, just nowhere. Run outside the top 10. Ran outside the top 15. Really ran outside the top 20 for much of the day. Finished where he ran. Outside the top 20. He's lucky he got that playoff cushion from winning the regular season title because he used a lot of it. Brian, Joey Logano is real. Blaney got spun by Dillon. That is right. Okay, so thank you for reminding me about that one. Yeah, they just could never get... I believe he did get spun by Dillon. Then he was running for a lap or two on a flat tire and then basically destroyed the whole underbody. But thank you. And I knew something happened with him. Austin Dillon, he qualified 9th. That was surprising, but I don't have much to say about Austin Dillon because this is what we expect from the 3 car, which is running outside the top 10, finishing outside the top 20, having a good run here or there. He had a good qualifying effort, but that's about it. I really have nothing else to say about Austin Dillon because this is what I expect from the 3. Christopher Bell. What happened to Bell? I know he spun Carson Hocevar on pit road, but even before that 20 car was just a train wreck. This is my problem with Bell. Yes, the 3 wins in a row. Everyone likes to go back to the 3 wins in a row. And we all like to say that, oh, it's Christopher Bell. He'll figure it out. But guys, out of all 16 drivers, he is 11th in laps led. 11th. He's behind guys like Shane Van Gisbergen. He's behind, no, he's not behind Alex Bowman because Alex Bowman only has like 170 laps all year. But he's behind guys he's behind Austin Cindric. He's behind Shane Van Gisbergen. He's behind guys he shouldn't be behind. For a championship contender, again, I need to see more out of the 20. Seriously, someone tell me, where have they been since they won 3 in a row? Nowhere. And I think he'll do enough to make it past the round of 16 and the round of 12, but once it gets to nitty-gritty time in the round of 8, I don't know if I trust that 20 team right now. I know they can do it, but I need to see it to believe it. Alex Bowman, he just got screwed by his pit crew. I don't know what the speed would have looked like because he had a dismal qualifying effort. It looked like he was going to work his way through the field, but then his pit crew screwed him over, put him 2 down. Looked like he got back on the lead lap, so it looked like he'd be able to work his way through the field a little bit, but just nothing from the 48 team. Finished 31st. Again, pit crew screwed him, went 2 down, got a couple laps back, but you can even see here he ended up losing those 2 laps back. So Bowman, I had him making the round of 12. Run like this, he's already deep into the hole. He was already dead last on the playoff grid, and runs like this is not what he needed at all. I thought because he had a lot of momentum on this side, he had a couple top 10s in a row, finished 2nd at Richmond. I'm thinking, hey, that 48 is very consistent, so I think they'd be able to work their way through the field and move on. Unfortunately, they didn't. Shane Van Gisbergen, 32nd. I had him moving on to the round of 12 because I thought with his playoff cushion that he would do enough. And while I did think Darlington would probably be the worst track for him, I thought that he's going there a 2nd time this year, so it might be able to help him out a little bit. But he ran, 25th, 28th, 30th all race long. He kind of looked like the SVG at the beginning of the year, which is running outside the top 30. And he finished outside the top 30. I don't know if he ran into issues or not, but again, just that 88. 16-point cushion, and when we look at the bubble, that cushion is gone. Like 16 points sounds like a lot, but 16 points could easily be evaporated like that if you finish outside the top 20. And he did worse. He finished outside the top 30. And then the last guy here, Josh Berry, got the fastest lap, so managed to get 1 point out of it, but I mean, crashed on lap 1. Nothing really there after that. Just snapped the loose, tried overcorrecting it, hit the wall. There was nothing he could have done after that. Yep, that 21 just had him eliminated this round. He had a good qualifying effort, finished 3rd, and I mean, just got taken away from him. We never saw what that 21 would have done, throughout the race because, again, he snapped loose. But if he did anything like his Penske teammates did, he probably would have been nowhere because, again, the highest Penske guy ended up finishing 12th in Austin Cindric. So there you go. There is the little recap. We're going to do this throughout every episode, just recapping the playoff guys. And I'm going to quickly go into the single host here because I'm going to see if NASCAR has updated the playoff standings on the website. And if not, we'll just go on NASCAR Twitter and see. They have not because they do not have Briscoe locked in just yet. Let's see if our man Bob Pockers can help us out real quick. See if Bob is standings updated. Okay, he does, so perfect. Shout out to Bob Pockers, by the way. I met him a couple times. Very, very nice guy. Let me get this ready. Let me get this so you guys can see it. Beautiful. Okay, so let's look at the standings right now. Briscoe, he's locked in. We know that. Hamlin plus 43, Larson plus 38, Reddick plus 35, Bubba plus 25, Byron plus 25, Blaney plus 22, Chastain plus 21. So pretty good day for Chastain. Cindric plus 12, Bell plus 11, Elliott plus 9, SVG plus 3. And then you got the 4 below. Logano minus 3, Dillon minus 8, Bowman minus 19. He was like minus 30 for a lot of that race. So the fact that he's only down by 19 honestly could have been a lot worse, as with Josh Berry as well. They're both tied at minus 19. So I'll just, Hamlin, Larson, Reddick. I mean, as long as those three just don't have terrible runs at Gateway and Bristol, they should be fine to make it to the next round. Bubba, Byron, Blaney, and even Chastain, they have a good cushion. Just, again, keep it clean. I just think Blaney will be a factor at Gateway. He almost won the race last year, if not for fuel, so I think they'll be fine. Cindric and Bell plus 12 and 11. Kind of like SVG going in. Once you kind of get to under that 20-point cushion, it's nice, but you shouldn't feel safe at all. I mean, yeah, Cindric won Gateway last year, but he probably will run top 5, top 10 again. But again, something happens on lap 1, snaps loose, and that 12-point cushion is gone. As with Bell. Elliott plus 9, I'm not looking forward to Gateway for him, or really all of Hendrick, because they have not figured out Gateway at all. They've been dismal there. And Elliott, I don't know if Gateway's the race you want to go to when you're only above the cut line by plus 9. SVG plus 3. Richmond is encouraging, because I'd say that Richmond is the closest track to Gateway. So, because of that, I think SVG has a very good chance at running top 15, top 20. Maybe if they play some strategy right, they can get some stage points. So, SVG, I don't like plus 3 for him, but it's not the end of the world, given we're going to a track similar, the closest track to Richmond in these playoffs. Logano minus 3, not great. Gateway's coming up, so that should help him out. Dillon has finished top 10 at Gateway before. He finished, I believe, 6th the last time we went to Gateway, so he should be maybe a factor, but again, I just don't know what I'm going to get out of that 3 car, though it is very similar to Richmond, which he is now the god of now, apparently. Bowman minus 19. I don't like that look. I don't like that going into Gateway. And Josh Berry, I believe he DNF'd out of that race last year. So the 2 on the bottom, I don't like their odds going into Gateway. Dillon and Logano, it's a good track for them. SVG should be okay. Chase, I worry about. And then the rest, it's just survive. So there we go. That is our playoff look, or playoff preview or review, whatever you want to call it, after Darlington. Before we move on to the next topic, see what you guys have to say in the chat here. Logano, Berry, Briscoe, and Bowman below. Yeah, exactly. I had Logano, wait, Briscoe below. You mean Berry, Logano, but you mean Dillon below? Because Briscoe's locked in. Briscoe's locked in. Unless he failed tech. Don't tell me he failed tech. To be fair, I think Berry will be fast at Bristol. He could be. I don't remember where he finished this year in spring. In the video, I had Berry, Logano, Dillon, and Cindric eliminated. Right now, I would be 3 out of 4. The only one I have wrong right now is Bowman instead of Cindric. So 3 out of 4. I'd like to be 4 out of 4. Which Gateway's coming up, so probably not. Berry, not Briscoe. You mean Dillon? Because you already said Berry, Raging. Unless there's 2 Berries that I don't know about. I really don't have faith in Bell this year. Again, neither do I. I mean, he started off the year hot, but even then, he never dominated any of those races. He came in late at COTA due to a tire advantage. Atlanta's Atlanta. And Phoenix, I don't even think he dominated that race either. Bro, what do you think about getting Logano a new crew chief? I don't even know if it's the crew chief. I think it's just Penske in general. I mean, Cindric is nowhere. Berry's nowhere. Blaney's the only bright spot at Penske right now. But Logano, the problem with Logano is that his issues get masked because he just makes the Final Four, because he just makes the Final Four and wins the title all the time. But at the end of the day, that's what you're supposed to do. So, I mean, I guess the problems don't matter, but that's what I'm saying. Logano is feast or famine. When he's feasting, there's no reason to try to fix the issues because they're still getting the job done. But when they're famine, that's when the problems really show. It's like, oh, they're not that good, are they? Dylan, I couldn't read what I wrote. Thanks, YouTube. But Blaney is fast, though. That's what I'm saying. Okay. I want to briefly talk about the race at Portland, which was dominated by Connor Zillage. And I believe this is the clip right here. This should be the overtime one. I don't believe it is, but we're about to find out. Yeah, so I'll expand it here just so you can see, and again, I'll play it back. So I put out a tweet earlier after this race where I said that how is this not a penalty where it really looked like Connor made no attempt to make the corner, and he literally just, of course, my internet wants to, just be fantastic. He literally just cuts the corner, and he goes on to win the race anyway. And I've seen a lot of takes saying like, oh, what do you want Connor to do? They were wrecking over there. Here's my thing. And I'm not even really going to talk too much about the incident because I do think that should have been a penalty, even though that's really just the Connor obliged by the rules. So by the rule book, there is no penalty to give. But I really have a problem with NASCAR's lack of track limits at road courses. What do I mean by that? Watkins Glen, turn 1. You're just allowed to basically go all the way to the wall. The racing surface just doesn't exist. Don't get me started with outside the carousel. You got this instance as well. And Sonoma, Coda, so many examples where just guys don't need to make the corner. And it's ridiculous. Yes, this is a weird instance because Connor, should he gotten penalized? Probably, but, when everyone's wrecking behind you, how are you going to gain an advantage when everyone behind you decides to die? So I get that. But here's the thing. It really bothers me when we want to claim that these guys are the best in the world and they need runoff. They need to go 5, 6 car lengths off of the racing surface to make a corner. And I know stock cars are different, but you can just break later, or go, find a shallower corner, because it's ridiculous how there's no incentive for stock car racing to make the corners at road courses. Where's the track limits? Why even have track limits? Just pave the entire track and make it and say that's the racing surface. Because I'm sorry, I do not think that you are impressive as a driver, as a road course racer, if you just go 5 car lengths off of the racing surface. That's not impressive to me. That's why what SVG does is so good, because he rarely goes off the racing surface. If you see how he drives, he maybe goes a little bit, but he barely goes off the rumble strip, and that's about it, and he still makes it through. So, again, this thing with Connor, it's not really against Connor, it's just, I know I'm going off a little bit on a tangent here, but, I mean, guys, am I wrong here? Because, again, it's just, if you're that good, you don't need runoff. And as for the argument of, oh, he was going to get into a wreck. Oh, well, tough luck. I don't like the idea of you can cut the corner trying to anticipate a wreck. That makes no sense to me. By that logic, you should be able to go below the yellow line then, because you're trying to anticipate a wreck at a super speedway. But we don't use that logic, even though the yellow line rule is stupid anyway. But that's a rant. We'll probably have that rant for Talladega. Ross Chastain, Indy 22. Exactly. Makes no sense. You're trying to avoid a wreck. Come on now. About half a dozen drivers didn't make the corner. Exactly. Oh, hold on. What's this? So Sawalage over the last 7 races has an average finish of 9.8, with 6 of those 7 finishes being in the top 12. I did see that. He is now back inside the top 20 in points, so give credit to that 19 to William Sawalage. He's slowly figuring it out after a dismal start to the year, so give him credit where credit is due. But that's just my little rant here about the chicane. Again, if you're that good of a driver, you don't need runoff. So I think NASCAR needs to start imposing actual track limits rules. Like, you can't go all the way off at Watkins Glen in turn 1 or out of the carousel. You can't go all the way off out of, I believe it's what, turn 4, turn 7 at Sonoma. You can't almost miss the entire S's at Coda. You just can't do that. You actually have to run the racing surface. It just makes more sense. And frankly, it's like, why do we have racing surfaces again if they're just allowed to cut it? It just looks ridiculous in my opinion. He didn't nearly kill half of the field though. All right. It's time for race weekend rankings. It's been a while since we've done one of these. And if you guys don't know how this works, because it's been a while since we've done this, I have 2 tier makers. I have tier maker for the week, and I got the tier maker for the entire season. And the entire season tier maker is huge. Huge at this point. So, I'm just going to be up front here. I don't think any of these races were particularly good. So, we're kind of just ranking meh. That's what we're doing. We're going to rank meh. I'm putting the Xfinity race at number 3. Again, just the rule that you can basically cut the corner and not get penalized is stupid. And if you guys know me, anytime there's a stupid rule that affects the race, that all but guarantees is going to get a low ranking. So the Xfinity race, and either way, Connor just dominated the race anyway. Nothing really happened. So it goes in the last place. Second, I'm going to give it to the truck race at Darlington, which it had a nice battle between Heim and Riggs. But once Riggs ran into a problem, it was pretty much over. Again, kind of a snoozer. And then the Southern 500, I'll put at number 1. Again, Briscoe dominated, but, you know, Reddick was keeping him honest. Hamlin kept him honest in the first half, and then Eric Jones ended up keeping him honest at the end. So, while it was dominated by the 19, and again, clean air is really the main reason he won, I can't say that it wasn't entertaining. And just as Raging Knuckles, or Elite, or Joshua88, everyone in the chat, yes, I was having a heart attack. So, that heart attack, I want to make it worth it. So it's going to go at number 1 for this ranking. Moving on to the 2025 tier. As you see, we're going to have to scroll down a little bit here. Again, none of these races were great. I'll put the Xfinity race. I'm going to put it somewhere at the end here. I'll put it at the end of D tier. And the reason I'm putting it at the back of D tier is, again, stupid rule, puts you at the end of D tier or anywhere in F tier. That's just how it is. Look at the Xfinity race in Martinsville. That was just terrible racing. And then look at most of these ARCA races because of their terrible racing needs to finish under green rule. Truck race. I'll put it at the top of D tier. I mean, again, just kind of meh. Not very good. And then the Cup race. It was entertaining. But again, it's just, I know why it was entertaining. So I'll put it, you know what? I'll put it at the top. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I'll put it at the top of C tier. The Pocono race is first, but I think just, you know, playoff implications, a little, you know, top 3 were separated by a few tenths, which again, it's dirty air. They weren't going to go anywhere, but I'll give it, it was exciting. It got me amped up. It got me energized. So I'll give the credit where credit is due. So, again, not a great week for races, in all honesty. But there we go. That is my 2025 race weekend rankings so far. And if you guys see here, one thing that I did add, I added a didn't watch tier. Because if you guys don't know, there are times when I'm not able to watch a race. Whether it's because I'm doing one thing or another, I'm out of town, I'm busy, you name it. So my default at the time was just either just to get the consensus of everyone, which I have the poll on my on the Daily Downforce Discord, which we'll show that in just a moment. But instead, I decided, you know what? Let me just not throw everything either in C tier or just try to guesstimate. Let me actually make a didn't watch poll, which is why you see the 2 Richmond races here. And before you guys ask, no, I'm not going back and putting every race I didn't watch in this tier, because there are some races I don't remember what I watched, and I'm not going to go back and look for them. So, didn't watch tier, new to the race weekend rankings, probably 27 weeks too late, but better late than never. And then in the A tier, I did add some new additions here, like the Wawa 250 at Daytona. I thought that race was amazing. And the Coke Zero Sugar 400, I was there for both of these races, and that Coke Zero Sugar 400 was phenomenal. The second best plate race of the year, and I did make a few changes. I moved the Atlanta race to number 2 in the S tier, and I moved the Xfinity Mexico race back. So I do make changes once in a while. I'll go back here and I'll tweak some things, but it's really in this section where I make the changes here. B tier I kind of leave alone, C tier I leave alone, and then if you're bad, you're just bad. That's just how it is. Bro missed the best short track race of the next gen era. I was interviewing Dale Jr. All right, I was interviewing Dale Earnhardt Jr. All right, which by the way, if you want to see that, if you want to hear that interview, go to the Daily Down. When you're done with this stream, head over to the Daily Downforce in the shorts section. You'll see my interview with Dale Earnhardt Jr. A little shameless plug there, might I add. But yeah, I was interviewing Dale Earnhardt Jr. So I heard the race was great, but I'll take interviewing my childhood, my favorite driver in my childhood over a Richmond race in the next gen era. Andy, I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name because I will butcher it and I don't want to disrespect you. So we're just going to go with Andy. I'm sorry. What does S tier mean? So S tier is the cream of the crop. These are the best races of the year. Some of the best races I've ever seen. Like Michigan, I think Michigan was the best race of the year. Atlanta, phenomenal. Xfinity Mexico, phenomenal. Coke 04, all these races were phenomenal, which is kind of funny that we complain about the plate racing and road courses, but they make up 4 out of the 5. But S tier, like, so let's just go over really quick. F tier, abomination. They actively insulted me, and I never want to see them again. Case in point, all the races here. D tier, just bad. Bad to very, very bad. Just no other explanation. C tier, forgettable. I always say I'm probably going to forget about it in a day or two. Kind of like with all these races. There's really nothing I remember from much of these races. You know, I know there's 2 Richmonds here, but that's because one of the other races was called the Cookout 400. And I don't remember which one that was. So there was 2 logos. I'm just going to leave it like that. But C tier, forgettable. B tier, good. It was a good race. Nothing great. It was good. A tier, great. Great race. S tier, cream of the crop. It's not going to get much better than that. But there's my quick explanation of the race weekend rankings. And again, every race is ranked here. And of course, didn't watch is I didn't watch the race. I was at Michigan in person, and it was wonderful. I bet it was. I bet it was wonderful. And that's actually a race I got, go back to the beginning of the show where I mentioned I got my fantasy league where getting the picks correct. I picked Denny Hamlin to win that race. So you can imagine I was very happy after that race. But I'm also very happy with the end of this race as well because, of course, I got everything right. But yeah, that is going to do it for this episode. The Cutline is back after a few weeks hiatus. We are back. So, you guys got anything more to say in the comments? In the meantime, I'm going to quickly save this because I have to go put this for the Race Weekend Rankings story. 2025 Race Weekend Rankings. Post Southern 500. Also, I hope you guys like the... If you got, for those who are here, I hope you guys like the diecast demonstration. I did that in another Race Weekend ranking, or not Race Weekend rankings. I did that in the Cutline. No, I did that for my the Next Gen Car Sucks episode of No Cautions Given. Which, by the way, guys, if you guys want to know what I think about the playoffs, who I'm making the round of 6 to 12, round of 8, championship 4. I know I kind of gave some of them away, some of my picks away throughout this video. But if you guys want to see the rest of that after the stream, which we're about to end in just a moment, go check out that episode. It dropped earlier today, just before the Cup race. So go check out that episode as well. But that's going to do it for me over here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much. Again, we are back. Before you go, please like this stream and subscribe to the Daily Downforce YouTube channel. And check out dailydownforce.com as well. And I know, probably should have done this at the beginning, but check out NASCAR Pole Position Magazine as well. The August-September edition is out. Got Justin Allgaier, Larson, Caden Honeycutter all on the cover. And if you guys want to support me even more, you definitely want to check out that magazine because I got to interview rising star Thomas Annunziata. You know, the guy who won the ARCA race at Watkins Glen just a couple of weeks ago. So if you guys want to support me, please check out dailydownforce.com. We got bundles over there as well. And check out NASCAR Pole Position magazine. But that's going to do it for me, folks. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Cutline is back. We'll see you next week for Gateway.